I remember it quite vividly. I was 5 years old when I saw my first news broadcast. I was too young to understand the politics, the sex, the crime, and the scandals, but whatever it was, it left me mesmerized. Now, here I am, a young budding journalist driving to News 12, the local television news station that covers Westchester in the Hudson Valley. My internship at Newsday landed me inside the News 12 newsroom for a day, and by 9:30 a.m., I was inside of a conference room talking about news with a slew of reporters and anchors that I see on TV all the time. Afterwards, I got my assignment. I was going to shadow Grace Noone, a veteran TV reporter who covers a lot of hard-hitting news stories. She had to report the lead story for the 4:30 broadcast. Today, it's the Yonkers public school system. Despite getting an additional $11 million from the state, it's still not enough to fill their budget gap, which means they could see even more cuts to their already dwindling school programs. With that in mind, we were off to a nearby school for an 11 o'clock interview with the Yonkers school superintendent. The kids were on a school break, so I watched Grace conduct her interview inside of an empty classroom and then film a few spots inside of the room. Paul, her cameraman / driver / visual director / Final Cut Pro whiz, helped Grace come up with the concept of her short report. They decided to use the dry erase board as a visual aid to tell the story. After rehearsing her lines to herself, she was ready for a taping.
The superintendent had hoped to restore some of the...
Well, almost ready.
The superintendent had hoped to restore some of the programs cut in earlier budgets, like pre-K, sports, art, and music. But with a $26 million deficit, that is not an option.
Afterwards, we packed up and drove across town to get some reaction from parents and school students. It took us a while to find some actual Yonkers residents. Eventually, we interviewed a few people. While we were down there, Grace got a call from the mayor's office. Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano was granting us an interview at 12:45 inside of his office, so we had to jet back across town to meet with him inside City Hall. After a brief interview with the mayor, and with just a few hours left before Grace was set to go live, we were heading back into the newsroom to begin piecing together our story. At her desk, Grace began hitting away at the keyboard, creating a script and closed captioning for her story. For someone who does a lot of speaking, I found it a bit surprising to see her do so much writing. With our script in hand, it was time to head into one of the editing bays where Paul had already transferred the day's footage onto a computer for Grace to finish editing. And before I knew it, it was time to deliver the news. I took my place beside one of the producers inside of the control room and watched Grace and her fellow anchors prepare to go live. No longer was I watching from the perspective of the average viewer or a 5-year-old kid. I began noticing all the little details and retaining them like the journalist that I want to be. It was sad to see my day come to an end, but Grace imparted a great amount of knowledge and advice that I will always remember. I learned that broadcast journalism is sort of like print. At its core, the news is just a bunch of words tossed together in a way that's never been read or said before. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, most times it's true. The major difference? More mirrors and lots more makeup. Reporting from News 12 Westchester, I'm Victor Couto.